Hello, friends. My name is Dr. Tom Hanson. I'm a retired physician with over 35 years of experience. I've spent my entire life helping men take care of their health, and now I'm doing it for free here on YouTube. Today, we're going to talk about vitamin D, but not in a dry, boring way, in a real, human way. Imagine you and I are sitting on a porch, sipping hot coffee, talking about life and health without any rush or complicated medical jargon. I want you to know, I genuinely care. I'm not saying this as a man in a white coat, but as your friend and peer. I'm over 60 myself, and I completely understand those feelings that come with age, the tiredness, sluggishness, joint aches, worry about your heart and bones, even the dip in confidence. Many men think, well, what can I do? I'm getting old. But the truth is, we often overlook very simple things that can actually support us. Vitamin D is one of them. Why did I decide to make this video? Because too many men over 50 simply ignore this issue. I saw it for decades in my practice. They'd come in with back pain, low mood, constant fatigue, and say, "Doctor, it's just age." And I'd ask, "When was the last time you checked your vitamin D level?" And I'd see the surprise on their faces. Many never even thought about it. But this isn't just some fancy vitamin in a pretty bottle on the pharmacy shelf. It's a key to how our bones, muscles, immune system work, and even how we feel emotionally, especially for us men over 50. What I want you to understand most is this. This video isn't some professor's lecture for students. It's a heart-to-heart talk. I don't want to scare you or shame you. I want to support you. If you're not feeling as strong and energetic as you used to, that's not a reason to give up on yourself. It's a reason to learn exactly what you can do right now, without spending thousands of dollars or swallowing handfuls of pills. Ready? Then let's get started. Let's start right at the beginning and get clear, simple, and honest. What is vitamin D, really? A lot of people think it's just another supplement on the pharmacy shelf. But I always told my patients, forget the advertising and fancy labels. Let's understand what it actually is. Vitamin D isn't just a vitamin in the usual sense. It's a fat-soluble compound that acts in our body almost like a hormone. It's a critical regulator of many processes, without which the body starts to creak like a poorly oiled machine. What makes it unique? Most vitamins have to come entirely from food. But vitamin D is something our body can actually make on its own. All it needs is sunlight. When UV rays hit the skin, they trigger a remarkable, intricate process that converts cholesterol into an inactive form of vitamin D. That form then gets finished in the liver and kidneys, turning into its active state, the form that does the real work in our bodies. In a way, it's not just a nutrient. It's a whole hormonal cascade managing essential functions. Why do we even need vitamin D? It's often called the sunshine vitamin, not only because of how we make it, but because of what it does. It helps our body absorb calcium and phosphorus, two minerals vital for strong bones and teeth. Without vitamin D, calcium just passes through the intestines without being properly absorbed. I always explained it to my patients like this. Think of vitamin D as a key. Calcium is the valuable cargo. Without the key, the cargo can't get into the warehouse. Without vitamin D, you can eat all the calcium you want, but your bones will still stay weak. But that's not all. Vitamin D also helps regulate the immune system. It supports our body in fighting infections and keeps chronic inflammation in check. Many scientists see it as the conductor of the immune orchestra, making sure the immune system doesn't underperform or overreact. There's also evidence of its role in heart and blood vessel health, in reducing the risk of certain diseases including type 2 diabetes and even some forms of cancer. But I always caution, vitamin D is not a cure-all. It doesn't fix everything, but it is an important part of the bigger picture. What I really appreciate about vitamin D is its simplicity and its natural design. We're evolutionarily wired to get it through sunlight. Our ancestors lived outdoors, hunting, fishing, growing food. They didn't buy fancy bottles at the pharmacy, they got vitamin D simply by being outside. Today, we spend much more time under a roof. We work in offices, commute in cars, stay at home watching TV, or staring at screens. Even in summer, we often avoid the sun for good reasons, to prevent burns and reduce cancer risk. But all this dramatically cuts our natural vitamin D production. As a result, even people in sunny countries can be deficient. And in northern regions where the sun is weaker much of the year, it becomes an even more chronic problem. I always told my patients, don't overcomplicate vitamin D, but don't ignore it either. It's a simple thing, but without it, the body just can't work properly. Today, If there's one thing I want you to take away from this conversation, it's this. Vitamin D isn't just some trendy health fad or marketing gimmick. It's a fundamental part of your health. It's the key that opens many doors in your body. That's why I always started any talk about bone health, immunity, or general well-being with a simple question. How's your vitamin D? Now let's talk about why vitamin D is especially important for us men over 50 and how it's directly connected to one of the most delicate topics, erections. I know this can be an uncomfortable conversation. Men don't like talking about intimate problems. But trust me, as a doctor with 35 years of experience, it's more important than you might think. And if we can't be honest with ourselves, we can't help ourselves. First, our bodies change with age. When we're young, our skin is excellent at producing vitamin D from sunlight. But after 50, that process slows down. Even if you're outside in bright sun, your skin simply can't make as much vitamin D as it did at 20 or 30. That's just basic biology. Add to that the fact that with age, the liver and kidneys, the organs that convert vitamin D into its active form, may not work as efficiently. So even the modest amounts we do get might not be properly processed. Now, why do we need it so badly? A lot of people think vitamin D is only about bones. That's true, but it's only part of the story. This vitamin is involved in dozens of processes in the body, and one of them is directly tied to men's sexual health. You see, an erection isn't just about desire. It's about healthy blood flow. For everything to work as it should, blood has to flow freely into the penis. And here's where vitamin D becomes a critical ally. It helps maintain healthy blood vessels. Research shows that vitamin D supports the production of nitric oxide, a substance that relaxes and widens blood vessels. Without enough vitamin D, vessels can become stiffer, more inflamed, and narrower. I often compare it to plumbing pipes. If the pipes are clogged and narrowed, water barely flows. It's the same with blood. Without good circulation, you simply can't get or maintain a firm erection. A deficiency in vitamin D isn't some abstract issue. It's a real reason why a man might notice things aren't like they used to be. Erections become weaker, shorter, or unreliable. And as a result, confidence takes a hit, leading to awkwardness with a partner. I've seen it countless times. Men would come to me looking worried and defeated. They'd think they were just getting old and that the train had left the station. But when we were in tests, it turned out they had a serious vitamin D deficiency. After adjusting their diet, getting safe sun exposure, and adding supplements when needed, things often improved. Not overnight, of course. But a couple of months later, they'd come back looking like different men. More confident, standing taller, smiling. One of my patients, John, once told me, "Doc, I feel like a man again." Thank you. I want you to know, this isn't an ad for some miracle pill. This is an honest conversation. Vitamin D won't replace everything else. It won't fix all erection problems, especially if there are other health issues involved. But it's an essential part of the system. Without it, other efforts, exercise, diet, even medication, may not work as well. That's why I always told men over 50, don't ignore this simple but vital piece of your health. It's not just about bones. It's about your strength, your confidence, and your quality of life. And you know, I'd really like to hear what you think about this. Drop a comment below. Have you ever checked your vitamin D levels? Have you dealt with a deficiency? Or do you have your own ways of staying healthy after 50? I'll be reading and replying. This is our shared conversation about how to stay strong and confident no matter our age. Now let's take a closer look together. What actually happens to our bodies when we don't get enough vitamin D? And I want you to know, this isn't about scaring you. This is the honest reality I've seen over and over in my decades of practice. A lot of men think, so what if I'm low on vitamin D? It's not deadly. And technically, they're right. It won't kill you overnight. But here's the important thing. Vitamin D deficiency damages your health slowly and silently. It's like a small leak in a boat. At first you don't notice it, but eventually you're standing in water up to your knees. First, and most famously, your bones. Without vitamin D, your body can't properly absorb calcium. And without calcium, bones become brittle. As you age, this turns into osteopenia, then osteoporosis. This isn't just about pain. Fragile bones mean a real risk of hip fractures. And for older men, a hip fracture can change life forever, even leaving you bedbound. Second, muscles. Vitamin D affects how they work. Its deficiency leads to weakness, sluggishness, even tremors. Men often tell me, "Doc, I feel weaker. It's harder to get up from the chair. My legs feel unsteady." And that's not just getting old. That's a real biochemical process. Third, the immune system. Vitamin D helps your immune system stay balanced. Without it, you're more likely to catch infections. Colds, flu, even pneumonia can hit harder and take longer to recover from. Older adults with low vitamin D often get sicker more often and bounce back more slowly. Fourth, inflammation. Low vitamin D raises levels of chronic inflammation in the body. It's like a slow-burning fire inside. Inflammation is at the root of many diseases, from heart problems to type 2 diabetes. Fifth, mood and cognitive function. Many men don't connect their low mood with vitamin D levels, but they should. Research shows deficiency may contribute to depression, anxiety, worse memory, and difficulty concentrating. I've heard patients tell me, "Doc, I just don't feel like doing anything." And sometimes a vitamin D test helped reveal the reason. Sixth, heart and blood vessel health. Low vitamin D is linked with a higher risk of high blood pressure, atherosclerosis, and heart attacks. It affects vessel health, reduces inflammation, and helps regulate blood pressure. And finally, men's sexual health. I've already talked about its role in erections, but let me repeat, vitamin D deficiency damages your vascular system. It's not just about your heart or brain. It's also about blood flow exactly where you need it for intimacy. I often told my patients, think of vitamin D like the oil in your engine. Without it, everything inside wears out faster. Many men came to me saying, "Doc, I'm just getting old." But when we ran blood tests, we'd find their vitamin D levels were shockingly low. And after correcting it, through diet, safe sun exposure, or supplements, things would start to improve. Not magically or overnight. But after a few months, they felt more energetic, more confident, with fewer complaints about pain and fatigue. That's my goal in this talk, to help you see that vitamin D deficiency isn't a minor detail. It's a silent health destroyer that affects everything from your bones to your immune system, from your mood to your sex life. I don't want to scare you. I want to give you knowledge and hope that you can do something about it. Checking your vitamin D level is a simple step, but it can be the start of a big difference in how you live and how you feel. Let's have an honest talk about why vitamin D so often doesn't get absorbed the way we need it to, especially after age 50. This is such an important conversation because understanding the reasons is the first step to working around them. I always told my patients vitamin D deficiency isn't your fault. It's not because you're lazy or don't care about yourself. It's the result of how we live and how our bodies naturally change with age. The first factor is age itself. This is the great equalizer for all of us. When we're young, our skin is incredibly good at producing vitamin D when exposed to ultraviolet light. But after around 50, this process starts to slow down. Think of your skin as a little vitamin D factory. When you're young, it's running fast and smooth. But with age, that factory slows down, the equipment gets rusty, and production drops. Even if you spend hours in bright sun, your skin simply can't make as much vitamin D as it used to. The second factor is changes in the skin itself. As we age, our skin gets thinner and loses some of its pigmentation. That affects how deeply UV light penetrates and triggers vitamin D production. People with fair skin may see less of a problem, but even there, production drops with age. The third factor is our lifestyle. Let's be honest, we become indoor creatures. We work in offices under artificial light, drive cars, sit at home in front of TVs and computers. Even when we do go outside, it's often just a few minutes between the car and the office door. And in colder seasons, we're bundled up in coats, hats, and gloves. Our skin doesn't see the sun at all. There's also modern caution, and I fully support it. We've learned to protect ourselves from the sun with sunscreen to avoid burns and reduce the risk of skin cancer. That's smart and necessary. But sunscreen also blocks the UV rays we need to make vitamin D. The fourth factor is geography and climate. If you live in northern latitudes, there simply aren't as many sunny days. And in winter, the sun is at such a low angle that there's almost no useful UV light. Even on a clear day, your skin can't make enough vitamin D. The fifth factor is excess weight. It's not the easiest thing to hear, but it's important. Vitamin D is fat-soluble. In people with higher body fat, it gets stored in fat tissue and becomes less available for the body to use. So people who are overweight often have chronically low vitamin D levels even if their diet and sun exposure seem okay. The sixth factor is diet. There just aren't that many foods naturally rich in vitamin D. Even if you try to eat well, you're probably not getting enough. The main sources are fatty fish, liver, and egg yolks. But how many of us eat those every day? I always told my patients, this isn't about blame. It's about understanding. You're not at fault for living in a modern world where we spend more time indoors, cover up from the sun, and eat store-bought food. But once we understand these factors, we can account for them. As we get older, we lose a lot of natural advantages. That's exactly why it's so important to pay attention to these small details like vitamin D levels. It's a small but crucial puzzle piece in the bigger picture of your health. In the end, it's about quality of life. It's not just about not breaking a bone or not getting sick. It's about energy, muscle strength, heart health, immunity, and even mood. I want you to know, taking care of yourself starts with understanding. And you've already taken the first step just by listening. The rest is up to you. If you want, share in the comments. Did you learn something new? Have you ever checked your vitamin D levels, or are you thinking about it now? I'd love to read your stories and questions. After all, we're all learning how to take better care of ourselves together. All right, friends, let's talk as simply and honestly as possible about how you can notice vitamin D deficiency in yourself and what you can do about it without extremes or expensive treatments. I always told my patients, listen to your body. It sends you signals when something's missing. Here are some signs and symptoms you should watch out for. White heavy check mark, constant fatigue. If you're sleeping fine but still feel wrung out like an old dishcloth, it could be a clue. Vitamin D plays a role in energy metabolism, and low levels can lead to chronic tiredness. White heavy check mark, muscle weakness. Not just, I'm tired after work, but real sluggishness, heaviness in your legs, trouble getting up from a chair or climbing stairs. White heavy check mark, bone and joint pain. A dull, aching pain in your back, hips, or ribs, especially if there's no other clear reason. White heavy check mark, frequent colds and infections. Vitamin D supports immune balance. Low levels mean you might catch things more easily and recover more slowly. White heavy check mark, low mood, irritability, apathy. Vitamin D is linked to serotonin production. A deficiency is connected to depression and anxiety. White heavy check mark, slow wound healing. Low vitamin D can affect how your tissues repair themselves. White heavy check mark, reduced stamina. Everyday tasks feel harder. You may have less energy even for a simple walk. I always stressed, these symptoms don't always mean it's vitamin D. But if you're noticing several of them, it's a good reason to think about it and maybe check your levels. Now let's talk about what you can do. The good news is you can boost vitamin D levels simply and safely. 1. Sunlight. This is the most natural method. Even 15 to 30 minutes of direct sun a few times a week can help. The key is moderation, no burns. In summer, just exposing your face and arms is usually enough. In winter up north it's harder, but even brief sun exposure matters. 2. Diet. Include vitamin D-rich foods, fatty fish like salmon, sardines, mackerel, egg yolks, liver. There are also fortified foods like milk or cereals with added vitamin D. 3. Supplements. If you get little sun or blood tests show you're very low, supplements can help. But don't overdo it. I always told patients, check your blood levels first. Too much can be harmful. It's best to discuss dosing with your doctor. 4. Lifestyle. Get outside more. Even on cloudy days, you still get some UV. Take short breaks, get fresh air, move around. This isn't just about vitamin D, but your overall well-being. 5. Watch your weight. Excess body fat can trap vitamin D, making it less available for your body. Keeping a healthy weight helps make the vitamin you do get more usable. I always told my patients, raising vitamin D levels isn't about buying overpriced pills. It's about paying attention to how you live and what you eat. I've seen men who just made small changes, more walks, eating fish a couple of times a week, and after a few months they felt much better. Others checked their blood levels and used sensible supplement doses with their doctor's guidance and saw real improvements. This is doable for anyone. The key is not to ignore the issue, because health after 50 isn't a luxury. It's the foundation for living with confidence and enjoyment. In the end, friends, I always said, caring for yourself isn't selfish. It's respect for yourself and for the people who love you. And I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever thought about your vitamin D levels? Noticed any of these symptoms? Or have your own tips for staying healthy after 50? Leave a comment below. I read them all, and I'd be glad to answer if I can. And if you found this helpful, don't forget to hit subscribe so you don't miss the next video. Let's keep learning how to stay strong, healthy, and confident together.